Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Chatter, where the focus is Black women's mental health. Today, I'll be continuing the discussion on why I made the decision to give up on the Black collective and no longer feel obligated to Black men. So just to recap, in the last segment, I talked about how I watched an episode of Fox Soul where they were discussing whether or not Black women should date outside their race, and I more or less focused on the disparity in numbers as a reason for Black women needing to explore other options. So now I want to expand the discussion by addressing other factors that decrease the likelihood of Black women finding a partner within the community. And I think colorism and the anti-Black mentality that exists in the community is a great place to start. People tend to act funny and be dismissive when I bring up this issue, but it's literally the cancer of the community. It's crazy because people will sit up on panels and talk about Black women's dating options and whatnot, but the issue of colorism is never brought into the discussion. It's the elephant in the room that everyone's pretending's not there. In the last segment, I mentioned that you have to take into account which Black men actually like Black women when looking at the numbers. But you can't stop there. You can no longer make general statements like Black men who like Black women. You have to qualify the statement with additional information. You have to provide details because with the emphasis that is not only placed on skin tone, but hair texture and features as well, you got to make sure you cover all bases. Because the characteristics that are most likely to get you disqualified from the running are being dark-skinned, with 4C textured hair and unambiguous facial features. And it's so funny because one of the panelists actually alluded to the problem, but you can tell that she was really trying to be careful with her language because she was one of the Black women who was insisting that Black women stick with Black men. So she chose to say something real safe like, Black men have also bought into the Eurocentric standard of beauty. Like, ma'am, for real? This is the main reason why I made the decision to give up on the Black collective. They refuse to acknowledge the level of self-hatred that exists among Black men. She's sitting up there using coded language and won't speak straight words because she's trying to protect them. And this happens all the time. Black men could be dead ass wrong and we will still find a way to excuse what they're doing. She's literally telling us that Black men have a preference for a phenotype that is the exact opposite of ours, but I'm still gonna hang on and hang in there for my Black king. The thing that upsets me the most about seeing Black women trying to downplay Black men's self-loathing behavior is that we've been conditioned to believe that we are protecting Black people from racism. Keeping quiet and not, quote unquote, putting our business in the street is called staying on code, with the logic being that if we can just present this united front and not openly disparage our men, this will keep other people from treating us badly. As if the reason Black people experience racism is because non-Blacks hear us talking about our problems. We've gone all the way down the rabbit hole of delusion with that rationale because non-Black people do not need to come into our spaces and ear hustle to know what's going on with us. They can make a direct observation. Because if non-Black people are really trying to use something that they've heard Black people say as a justification for their practice of racism, they already had that in them to begin with, and that's not our issue. The last point I want to discuss is how the condition of the Black community has created an insane level of arrogance and entitlement among Black men, and I'll tie colorism in as well. Now, when non-Blacks rattle off statistics about the number of Black men who are in prison or have a criminal record and who do not obtain higher education or, hell, even graduate from high school, Black men are quick to call them racist. But they will turn right around and use those same statistics to manipulate Black women. And this is what I mean by that. They go around calling themselves the prize, pat themselves on the back for the most base level achievements, and have convinced Black women that we need to be proving ourselves to them. Black women out here buying groceries, cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, running errands, and everything else to show these jokers they're worthy. And you better believe that if they decide to put a title on your situation, as soon as Black women express any dissatisfaction with their behavior, they'll be quick to point out their strengths. You sitting up here tripping because I don't make as much as you, but a lot of these don't even got a job. I ain't got no kids. I ain't been to jail. It's plenty of females that'll be lucky to have me. These dudes are capitalizing on the fact that most Black women only date Black men and have so few options that having a job, not being a criminal or a stud, makes you a good catch. And yes, I use the word stud because unfortunately, data shows that most Black males are not taking care of their children. And this is exactly what I meant when I mentioned imbalanced relationships in part 1. The despicable condition of the community is giving these subpar males access to Black women who they do not qualify for. I've worked at multiple facilities and seen Black women dating the men they supervise and earn 4 times as much as. And when Black women get involved in these relationships, end up taking care of these dudes financially, and get put through the ringer, the community will turn around and say, you should have chose better, as if exclusively dating Black men does not require the majority of Black women to date down. Another thing that happens is this. Even though the options are limited for Black women in general, lighter-skinned Black women are still considered the preference. So some Black men focus on dark-skinned Black women because they know the likelihood of them having low self-esteem and lower expectations exist. Many dark-skinned women have taken a hit to their self-esteem after dealing with colorism their entire life, myself included. And I have dated men who have literally told me to my face that light-skinned women make things too hard for them, so they quote unquote prefer dark-skinned women. So if anybody needs to keep their options open, we do, because many of these Black dudes see us as the lowest hanging fruit. At the end of the day, I just want us to be healthy, happy, and fulfilled. I'm tired of seeing us settle for less and not make our well-being the priority. If you like the content that I produce here at Mindful Chatter, please give this video a thumbs up, and I invite you to subscribe as well. Thanks for listening.